Hey everybody, this is Cassie from Elements Counseling and Wellness Spa in Pittsburgh, and today I'd like to talk to you about non-monogamy. You may have heard of CNM, which stands for consensual non-monogamy, or ENM, which stands for ethical non-monogamy, but essentially this means that you are not in an exclusive romantic or sexual relationship with one other person. There are also a lot of different relationship structures within non-monogamy. Some people identify as being in an open relationship, some people identify with swinging, and other people call themselves polyamorous, or poly for short. There is a lot of different terminology out there, and the great thing about it is you can really structure your relationship to work for you and your partner or partners. But the most important component here is that everyone involved is a willing participant. They are informed of what's going on, and there's an understanding of mutual respect and safety. If you want to learn more about some of the different terminology, different sexual orientations, relationship orientations, I really recommend this book. It's called The Ethical Slut, and it was written by Janet Hardy and Dossie Easton. They have both been in non-monogamous relationships for a lot of their adult lives. They talk about their personal experiences and, some things that have worked for them, some things that have not worked for them. This book really goes through different aspects of sexuality and feeling more empowered rather than ashamed of your sexuality. There are different activities you can do with your partner or partners, and going through the process of opening up, really helping you identify what might work for you and kind of starting from the ground up. This book, some people online have referred it as the Bible of non-monogamy or polyamory. So yeah, I would totally give it a try. Of course, sex is not the center of every relationship, and some people would actually prefer to have multiple romantic relationships as opposed to multiple sexual relationships, or a combination of both and anything in between. I think if something like polyamory makes more sense to you, where you would have multiple romantic relationships, but the ideas and fears around having multiple attachment-based relationships would become a barrier to you, this book by Jessica Fern, Polysecure, is another great resource that can help you kind of unpack some of the attachment issues that we form as children with our caregivers, and how that might relate to forming attachments with other partners and with ourselves, and just opening up the possibility of having secure attachments with multiple people and the beauty that can really come with that. Something really important to talk about, though, is that whether you want to be monogamous, whether you want to be non-monogamous, it's important to make an informed choice. So learn the history of polyamory, of non-monogamy, learn the history of monogamy and why sexual and romantic infidelity has become so demonized in our culture. And with that information, use it to make an intentional decision instead of simply being in a monogamous relationship because you think that that is the right thing to do and that's what everybody does, because that's not the case. And especially today, people can make different choices on how they structure their relationships. So if you're interested in opening your relationship or exploring non-monogamous relationship patterns, I highly encourage you to learn more about non-monogamy in general through the recommended books. There are different Instagram accounts such as Decolonizing Love. There's a lot of different podcasts out there. But in addition, you can also talk to a therapist who specializes and is affirming in non-traditional relationships. Please feel free to reach out and schedule an intake if you're interested in exploring some of your attitudes and beliefs around monogamy and non-monogamy, and if you yourself or you and your partner would like some support in navigating these difficult challenges.